A Love Story in the Vietnam War. Introduction. History is often written in the voices of conquerors, politicians, or generals, but the truest history of a nation is often carried silently in the hearts of families. The mothers who waited, the fathers who struggled, the children who grew up amid ruins yet still dream of tomorrow. This book is not simply about wars, regimes, or revolutions. It's about one family, the Nguyen family, whose story, spanning from 1945 to 1975 and beyond, reflects the fate of millions of Vietnamese. Their lives were shaped by invasion, betrayal, hope, and despair, but through it all, their unbreakable love for each other became the greatest weapon of survival. When I, Nguyen Thanh Xuan, began to write this book, I did not intend to craft a mere chronicle of events. I wanted to give voice to memories that still burn in the hearts of those who lived them. My parents, my siblings, and my relatives carry wounds too deep to measure, yet they also carry lessons of resilience, loyalty, and sacrifice that deserve to be remembered. Not only within our family, but also by future generations. Too often, the younger ones grow up hearing fragments of history, distorted by political lenses, forgetting the price of freedom. This book is my offering to them, a family heirloom carved out of truth and love, so they may never forget where we came from and why we endure. A journey through turbulent times. The Nguyen's family story is inseparable from Vietnam's long struggle for survival in the 20th century. In 1945, the Japanese occupation ended with sudden violence, leaving the land wounded and desperate. Immediately, the French returned, trying to reclaim their colonial power. The Viet Minh rose, promising independence, but planting the seeds of totalitarian control. Then came the Americans, their presence filling the streets with a strange mix of abundance and destruction. After decades of foreign interference, the final tragedy arrived in 1975 with the collapse of the South Vietnam. Each of these periods was not just a lie in the textbook, but a storm that swept through our household. For my parents, every war meant uprooting their lives, facing hunger, poverty, and fear. For my siblings and me, every change of the regime was a change of destiny. Schools closed, neighbors disappear, relatives imprisoned. Yet, amid all the chaos, the Nguyen family remained bound together by something more enduring than any ideology, love. It was a love that appeared in my father's determination to keep us alive even when he had nothing left to give. It was in my mother's unshakable devotion, cooking meals out of almost nothing and whispering prayers that kept hope alive. It was in the way we, as children, held each other when bombs shook the night sky and when news arrived that another uncle, cousin, or neighbor had been taken away. despair and hope. This book does not hide the despair we live through, the cruelty of war, and the betrayal among friends, the relentless hunger, and the prisons where many wasted away. All these shadows form part of our journey. The Vietcong prisons, in particular, left scars in both body and soul. Families were torn apart, men were beaten, women humiliated, and the children left to grow up in fear. We carry grief that sometimes seems unbearable. And yet, within that despair, there was always a seed of hope. Hope that one day we will live free. Hope that one day our children would not know what it meant to bow their heads in silence, or to watch their dreams be crushed by fear. Hope that the sacrifices of our parents would not be in vain. This balance between despair and hope, between defeat and resilience, is at the heart of our story. It is not a simple tale of tragedy, it is a testimony to the human spirit's ability to endure, to love, and to rise again. If there is one virtue that defines the Nguyen family, it is resilience. The war tried to break us many times. Poverty knocked at our door like an unwelcome guest and never left. Betrayals stung deeper than bullets, but we endure. My parents endure because they believe their children deserve more. They endure the hunger, the humiliation, the long nights of uncertainty. They taught us that true strength is not the absence of suffering, but the refusal to let suffering destroy you. Resilience in our home was not a grand gesture, it was the daily act of rising. Even when the body ached, it was my father's silent resolve, my mother's tireless hand, my siblings' courage to smile in the face of sorrow. And perhaps, most importantly, resilience was born of love, the love that turned each sacrifice into the seed for the future. The escape, the years following the fall of Saigon, was the darkest. Life under communist rule was a prison without walls. Families like ours knew that if we stay, our children's futures would be crushed beneath the weight of a system that feared freedom. And so the Nguyen family made a choice that would change our destiny forever. We chose the sea. To escape meant to risk everything, our lives, our last possessions, our fragile hope. Thousands perished in those waters, swallowed by storms, pirates, and hunger. But we, guided by faith and desperation, placed our lives in the hands of the waves. That journey, filled with terror yet illuminated by dream of freedom, remains one of the most powerful chapters of our lives. It was there, upon the ocean's endless horizon, that we learned the price of freedom is always sacrifice. The arrival in America. When our feet finally touched America's soil, it was not simply a physical arrival, it was the fulfillment of generations of longing. For the first time, we felt the weight of oppression lift, replaced by the uncertain promise of a new beginning. America was not paradise, it was filled with challenges, struggles, and the loneliness of exile, but it was freedom, and freedom, even when difficult, was worth every risk, every tear, every life lost along the way. A family's testament. This book, a love story in the Vietnam War, is not only a chronicle of survival, it is a love letter To my parents, the siblings, the Nguyen family, it is a testimony that what love can endure. It is also a warning and a reminder freedom is not free. My parents sacrificed everything so their children could live as human beings, not as shadows. They knew that every generation must pay the price for liberty, and they pay it willingly with their lives, their health, their dreams. To the young generation who will read this book, I say, do not forget. Do not let the stories of communist oppression be erased or softened. Understand the taste of freedom and never take it for granted. For every moment you breathe freely, someone before you paid a price. The Nguyen's family journey is deeply personal, yet it also echoes the experiences of countless Vietnamese families. In telling our story, I hope to honor them all. Each family carries its own burdens, some greater, some smaller, but all share the same longing for dignity and liberty. This story is not told with bitterness, though it carries pain. It is told with honesty, for only in truth can healing begin. It is told with love, because love is what carries us through the darkest nights. And it is told with hope that those who read it will not only learn history, but feel it, taste it, and carry it in their hearts. Dedication to my beloved parents whose sacrifices can never be repaid, to my siblings whose laughter and tears shaped the rhythm of my childhood, to the Nguyen family whose bond of love gave us the courage to face storms. This book is for you. It is our heirloom, our memory, our truth. May it live on, reminding future generations of where we came from and why we must always protect the light of freedom.